There's Amy Skye, and she's here right now in your new CD. And I have to confess to you that every time I hear the song that we brought you in before, you know, even guys, grown men, they cry about it. They just well up in tears. It's just so evocative.
So manly that you're confessing that you cry.
Well, no, I don't cry. No, you don't cry, but you just sort of, you feel such emotion. And I know that, you know, when you're talking about giving birth and then taking care of it, it's a cycle of life.
Yes, well.
And that is very provocative, very evocative. So, so your new album, tell us about it.
Well,
so it's Alive and Awake.
Alive and Awake. And, you know, you and I were talking about our families, and you have a lot of kids, and you'll understand why I haven't put out a CD for several years, because I wanted to wait until my 2 children had left the nest. Because when you put out a CD, you have to tour.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot to create it, and you have to tour. So you stayed at home, but then something else rose. Tell us about it.
Well, over the past several years, I haven't gone out of the business. I've been writing and producing for Olivia Newton-John and other artists, but I've done a lot of work as a spokesperson for mental health causes, because I myself have lived through several episodes of mood disorders, most notably postpartum depression. And as an artist, you're used to communicating with your audience, you're used to getting applause, and that feels great. But the response I got when I spoke out about my own struggles with mental health issues was so powerful, I realized that was really a path I needed to stay on. So I've combined with this Alive and Awake project. You've got the CD, there's a book coming out in the fall, there's a one-woman show called Ready to Be Changed that's also launching in the fall, where I combine entertainment and education about mental health.
So when you're facing these demons of depression, did you seek help?
Yes. Well, the 3rd time I did. First 2 I didn't.
So that's why, you know, you have such a good story, because there's a lot of people who are plagued by depression, or I assume also with postpartum with young mums, and they say, okay, well, you know what, I'm going to tough it up and not seek help. So you did that.
Yes, well, I had natural childbirth. So when I had postpartum depression, I figured, well, I'll just get that through it on my own. I'm a warrior here, you know. And it's not that you can't get through it. The problem with people who go through mood disorders on their own is that they are episodic, and they will almost undoubtedly come back, particularly in times of stress. And that's what happened to me.
That is fascinating, because there is that, as you say, if you had natural childbirth, I can deal with anything.
Yeah.
And you fought it, and you won. But then for the 3rd time, then you said, this is something that I need professional help on.
Well, the 3rd time it wasn't connected to childbirth. And I don't think I would have gone to the depressed place, perhaps if I had gotten help the first 2 times and learned what I call mood hygiene, which are mood management skills. There are things you can do to prevent triggers, lifestyle. I talk about body, mind, heart and spirit balance. It's a holistic approach to mental health.
Let's talk about the reaction to that, because you're a public person, and particularly in the entertainment industry. And when you came out publicly and said, you know what, I'm dealing with depression, did people skirt away from you and say, don't touch her?
I was afraid they were going to. But if you'll notice, if you go on my Facebook, every time I post something about mental health, there's nothing but gratitude. Even I tweeted that I was coming on the show tonight immediately. Thank you. Thank you for speaking out about it. My husband, my daughter, my son, my wife are suffering, and they need a healthy person. I mean, healthy is a relative thing.
You're healthy.
To come out, I'm healthy now.
Of course.
You know, but to come out and say, I fought it, I can get through it. There are things we can do to take back control of our life.
Let's talk about that. What did you do the 3rd time? You sought it out, but I mean...
I went into therapy,
yes.
cognitive behavioral therapy, which helps you understand how your thoughts create your moods.
So did you go to Cam H, or did you have
I went to a private therapist.
Okay.
Cam H is a wonderful resource, though.
Well, that's why I want to get out here for people who are watching right now, and there's someone in their family.
Yep.
I mean, depression is almost like cancer. I mean, everybody knows somebody in their family with cancer, and virtually everybody will know that somebody has a problem with depression.
Not
so
just depression.
What do you do?
Depression, addiction, bipolar, postpartum depression, anxiety disorders, obsessive compulsive, they all come under the umbrella of mental health. So what I did was I was very lucky to have a therapist who not only taught me cognitive behavioral therapy to understand how the mind part, how my thoughts created my moods. He did psychodynamic relationship therapy, and he showed me how I had unhealthy patterns in some of my relationships. So I really became participant and proactive in that. Learned how to stay away from toxic relationships, learned how to fix unbalanced relationships. And I also went on medication for the first time. And I was so anti-medication. I mean, I'm a hippie, right? I'm a natural, you know, whatever. The medication was life-changing, because I experienced for the first time what it felt like to not have anxiety.
But that is a huge thing. You say you're a hippie, and that you, well, I mean, you're not, but I mean that you had natural childbirth. I mean, you do not like
No.
drugs.
Not a pill popper.
You're not a pill popper.
I don't even drink.
But you did for your own mental health.
I did.
And understood that, in some cases it's necessary.
And for me, I was able to be on it for a couple of years, and it was a teaching tool. It showed me where zero was. I'd lived my entire life up until that point, actually with an anxiety disorder that I didn't even know about. I just thought everybody woke up kind of, wired. I don't know.
Well, you know what? It's a revelation to me. I thought everybody did too.
Well, I may have someone for you to see.
So let's just come back to your album now. Amy Sky, Alive and Awake. You've come through it. You've come through the eye of the needle. And a new album. Is this about your experiences?
I'm so glad you're asking, and what a good interviewer you are to remember.
I tried.
So to me, this album, if you didn't know it had a relation to mental health, you would just think it's another Amy Sky album, right? Just my typical ballads and inspirational lyrics. But if you really get into the lyrics, you'll see that they're all songs about healing, about hope, about the courage that it takes to admit to yourself you have a problem, to transform. It's kind of like
the word courage is courage as opposed to a weakness, isn't it?
Oh my God, no, it's courage.
Yeah.
It is very, very scary to admit to yourself that you have something wrong with your mind. Because most people think it's a life sentence. They think you'll be tarred with this, I'm crazy, and, people will shun you and you might lose your job. And, that can happen, which is also why I speak out about it. For Partners for Mental Health, they have a new website called notmyselftoday.ca. There's an online pledge people can take to open the conversation, to remove the stigma. So you and I can sit here and talk about it, and you don't have any judgment in your eyes, and you just think, well, yeah, she's just a normal person that's dealing with something that 1 in 5 people deal with, which is a mood disorder. And that maybe next time you come up with someone and they say, I'm not feeling that well, you say, why don't you see someone?
Right.
Maybe go on medication, maybe get some talk therapy.
Or just even phone CAMH in Toronto and get it started.
Yeah.
So, you came through that. You have a terrific album. So you're proof positive, though, that you come back and...
Do you know what? I did a fundraiser for the Sunnybrook, one of the mental health services recently, and I love what the psychiatrist, Dr. Anthony Levitt, said. He said he is a psychiatrist because he knows he can help people, because he can move them from disease to health. And I so strongly believe that. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. I wouldn't make this CD with this message, alive and awake. It's not enough to fog up a mirror. You have to be at your full potential.
And you are, you know what, I'll have to admit to you, true confessions, I haven't heard this. I'm going to listen to it, but I'm told by other people who have heard it that it is. It's terrific.
Well,
so good for you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amy Scott. Great pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take a break and come back with the question. Is it Canadian to pay those coaches in the Olympics when they win? I don't know. We'll find out how much. Dimitri Souness.